let's talk about the Big 12.
Yeah.
Because one of the interesting conversations here is what is going to happen to BYU in the Big 12 and what should BYU, really what should BYU be rooting for in the Big 12? What should the Big 12 do here? Here's what I would tell you the Big 12 should do. I think the Big 12, without question, should fully merge with the Pac-12. Because I think when you start looking at possibilities, there's also one thing that I think you have to do if you're the Big 12. You got to add San Diego State. I think San Diego State as a program has long deserved to be in a much higher profile position in a conference. You look at their new stadium, you look at their on-field performance, you look at the fact that if the Big 12 adds San Diego State, now you're talking about Southern California, and if let's say they merge lock, stock, and barrel with the Pac-12, every team, you would have Southern California with San Diego State, you'd have the Pacific Northwest with the Oregons and the Washingtons. You'd have the Mountain Region with Colorado, Utah, and BYU. You'd have the East Coast with West Virginia, the Florida schools, Cincinnati. Like, you're looking at a fit in Texas with Houston. You're looking at, adding both sides of Texas now with Tech and Houston. Oklahoma State, I think, is a power brand in college football right now. Jake, it makes a lot of sense for the Big 12 to add San Diego State in the Pac-12, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you think about what's the mission of this, what is the whole point of the Big 12 even having this conversation? Well, the point is to compete with the SEC. The point is to compete and be the best conference in the land. And I think that the only way you're going to have any shot at competing with the SEC is to dominate the West Coast, is to have, total and complete coverage across the country. And yeah, while the Big 12 is never going to have the Alabamas and the Georgias and the LSUs, okay, sure, you're not going to have those brands. But I think at the same time, you're upping your chances significantly of having two teams in the college football playoff by having a super conference. And I think that ultimately is what you're trying to do because I think there is some burnout on the SEC constantly dominating the college football playoff. We have had absolutely amazing conversations and debates and arguments over the fact that it's always Alabama or Georgia, it's always an SEC team in the college football playoff. And I think that the Big 12 sees an opportunity here. So yes, I absolutely would. If I can and it makes financial sense and it works out right for the Big 12, I could see a scenario where they just merge the entire conference and then try to dominate that way. Or I could absolutely see them, just picking a couple and strengthening their position from a brand standpoint and going that way. And I think that the only downside to merging with the entire Pac-12, or I guess what's left of it at this point, because there's obviously teams who've left already, but the only downside to that would be that the finances of it, how that all kind of plays together and what that looks like. Because when you have that many teams in a conference,
yes.
Well, how's all the money spread out across all the schools and all that and that?
And I also think that you have to have this conversation about if you merge with the Pac-12, and let's say you do exactly what I said. Hey, lock, stock, and barrel, every team into the Big 12 with the Pac-12, merge it. Add San Diego State.
Yeah.
Where does that put you on a conference level? So if you're the Big 12 and you're competing with the SEC, the SEC is still the top dog. There's no doubt. Okay, well, what does that do for you in the Big 10? This is a conversation I think that's worth having. Because I think the Big 10 and the Big 12, that version of the Big 12, whatever you'd wind up calling it, I think you'd be looking at a conference in the Big 12 that on the football field is going to be very competitive with the Big 10. You're going to have to ramp up San Diego State. The recruiting is going to have to get better. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. It's not dissimilar to what BYU and Utah went through when Utah joined the Pac-12, when BYU now is joining the Big 12. You're going to have to ramp that engine up a little bit. But I think when you look at the top dogs in the Big 12, I think losing Texas and Oklahoma is a kick in the balls. There is no doubt about that. But is it a bigger loss for the Big 12 or a bigger gain for the Big 10 with USC? Because I don't value UCLA very much. I really don't. As a football program especially, I just don't see them as a powerhouse.
Right.
UCLA is a basketball institution. By the way, did anybody see that the state of California is considering filing suit against UCLA for leaving the Pac-12? That's a public school. But I look at that situation, I say to myself, okay, so it's USC that we're valuing for the Big Ten, right?
Right.
I already look at a program in Nebraska that's disappointing. I already look at, the decline of Michigan State sports. I already look at Penn State never able to quite get over the hump. How much of the Big Ten is really centered on Ohio State? I could make an argument that most of the Big Ten and most of their revenue and most of their winning and most of their winning on and off the field is surrounding the horseshoe. I think I could make that argument pretty convincingly, actually. Until last year, Jim Harbaugh really hadn't taken a huge step up. And by the way, when's he going to leave Michigan, right? So I look at all these different scenarios and I say to myself, the Big Ten is a hype machine, no doubt about it. But how deep are they really? Because if I go to the Big 12 and I look at what you're adding and I look at BYU on its own, if you add Utah is going to continue to fly under the radar. There's no doubt about that. I think I could make the argument that Big 12 is better than the Big 10, Jake.
Yeah, I think that it's, and this is what we're all here for, and I think that's what fascinates me. Like, where are you able to go as a super conference, if you will, when you put all that together? I definitely think they're better than the Big 10. Like, if I'm these conferences, if I'm running the Big 12, my whole mission here in doing all this is, yeah, sure, financial and making money. That's what we're all here for, I guess, anyway. But I think the bigger thing is competing in the college football playoff. Like, what is the point of putting all this together and going through all the effort and consternation if it's still going to be two SEC teams, you in the Big Ten? What's the point, right? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So for me, I do think that you would have premier brands. Utah showed that when they played in their bowl game, that they weren't getting pushed around. They can play with the best of them. Now, I know certain years, Alabama is basically an NFL team playing at the college level, but my point here is that your whole goal here is just to have better representation. You're making money and trying to put two in the college football playoff every single year. And I do think that if this happens, you got a real shot to be better than the Big Ten.
Yeah, I look at the Big 12, and I think the year that Oklahoma State had and should have, look at Baylor last year.
Yeah.
BYU fans know all too well about Baylor. I throw Oklahoma out of this conversation, even though I think, look, Venables is a good head coach. He's not the guy. That's going to be a really tough job to fill, in my opinion. I think Texas is what Texas is doing. And Texas getting Arch Manning and recruiting and Arch Manning bring a bunch of his boys. Like, Texas is on the rise. And again, I look at Steve Sarkisian. I look at the staff that he's built at Texas. I think Texas is going to be much more of a force than Oklahoma will be in the next 5 years. But again, that's just my opinion. But I look at what's left. I look at Texas Tech. TCU is down. TCU is going to be back. West Virginia, Kansas State. Like, the quarterback play alone in the Big 12. And then you add, the Cincinnatis, the Houstons, the BYUs. You add the Florida recruiting component alone. I think puts the Big 12 ahead of the Big 10. And again, I know that that's going to infuriate people, but if you look at the depth, look at the Big 10, and let's just look at depth. Like, you look at the East, it's Ohio State. I know Michigan had a great year last year, but how many people are really impressed with Michigan on a consistent long-term basis?
How many years have they not been a threat over the last 10 years?
And by the way, I don't think you saw a decline in Ohio State when Urban left. I think Day's done a really nice job there. But Michigan State's going to have to do it again 2 or 3 years in a row here because they've had some miserable times. Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, Indiana. Those are your also-rans. But I look at the West. Is Iowa really scaring anybody at 7-2? Good program. Minnesota, I think Minnesota is the try-hard uphill team.
Yeah.
Wisconsin should be better. Frankly, Wisconsin should be much better. Wisconsin's always going to be a threat, and I think I'm a huge believer in Wisconsin athletics. I need to see them win at a very high level. And then Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska, Northwestern. I'm telling you that the Big 12 is better than the Big 10. And if they want to cement that, go get the Pac-12 and go add San Diego State. Yeah. Because I think if you do those two things, I think you're in business. San
Diego State is quality depth in your conference. They'll never be the top dog in your conference, but that's quality depth, no doubt.
And the other question I think you also have to ask is, if you don't merge with the Pac-12, what happens to the remaining 10 teams in the Pac-12? Because I think Utah's at a really critical point. And if we're truth-telling on Utah, and I know Ute fans, you're going to lose your mind anyways. You always do. But Utah is as close to being a national powerhouse as they are as being nationally irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
If we're being real honest here, it is, in my opinion, not an option to stay in the Pac-12. It's not. That conference is dead. And I don't know how you fix it from here, because who's going to want to add themselves to the Pac-12 at the money that you're not going to make?
Yeah, and I think that's why Phil Knight's on the phone trying to get out. I mean, that's why we're hearing all these reports about Phil Knight being desperate and calling and trying to put something like, that's why you're hearing that. And I think that the trouble is like if you look at a school like, Stanford, let's say. Stanford plays football, but they're not some football powerhouse.
They are a tiny, and the thing I think that people don't understand about Stanford is always academics first. It's really hard to get in there. They don't lower their standards for football or basketball. It's really difficult, and you have a tiny school, you have a tiny fan base that's not really in the Bay Area TV market. And it makes it difficult. Stanford is not a huge draw on television.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at renegotiating television rights, why did the Big 12 want BYU? They want BYU because BYU is an institution of higher learning. Which it is.
Yeah.
But they wanted BYU for the TV contract. They wanted BYU for the fan base.
Yeah.
And while I don't think that BYU has the mythical fan base global reach that everybody says, they have a massive fan base that puts 1 million viewers on TV every single time they play.
Yep.
There's a lot of value in that. If you're ESPN, you already have love for BYU. If you're Fox, you'd love to add BYU.
Mm-hmm.
BYU has real value. My question is, if you're Utah and you don't get to the Big 12, you're in real trouble.
Yep.
Because where are you going to go? You're not going to the Big 10. You're not going to the SEC. You're going to wind up with yourself on par with schools like Oregon State.
You're just going to burn 5 years.
You're going to wind up on par with Mountain West teams.
Yeah.
And that's not a place that Utah deserves. But that's a place that you could wind up.
Yeah.
You better get your ass into the Big 12. If you are Utah, it is make or break time. And by the way, one thing real quick on Utah. I had a big debate with somebody that says that Colorado is not a rival for Utah. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Because Colorado and Utah is a pretty good rivalry. There's history there. So I think it makes a lot of sense. The only two scenarios for me that make a lot of sense is lock, stock, and barrel. Pac-12, Big 12 merge.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Cool.
But there is some belief, and I think it's smart. If you're not going to add them all, Utah, Colorado, and the Arizona schools. Because I don't think Oregon's just sitting around hoping for a Big 12 invite.
No.
My feeling is that Oregon and Washington wind up in the Big 10, which is another reason that if I'm the Big 12, I am hot foot after Oregon and Washington. But I think there is a sliver of the Pac-12, now 10, that could end up in
Soon
the Big
to be
12.
8.
Yeah, you better get after it.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I don't think there's going to be massive realignment in college football at least for 3 more years. You're going to get this 2024 TV contract, which is what is pushing people to move right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think after that, I don't think there's a whole ton of that.
Yeah, and that's the
really
thing.
don't.
That's why you can't sit around and wait. And that's why, again, Phil Knight and I'm sure several other ADs are on the phone having conversations they're not dumb. They know what's coming.
No.
So I just would be surprised if, you're basically in a gold rush of sorts, you have to move. You can't miss this train to another conference because of what's coming. And I think, I don't think you're wrong saying hey, because the conference is getting torn down, if you miss this, your school is going to take a beating, and there's not much you can do about it. And then when you do make the jump, you're going to be leveraged and not in a great position to make the jump. That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's one of those things where, you have to really be smart about the decisions you make here. Let's get some of let's get some of your comments. Eric and Raleigh says the Big 24. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Kurt Myers says BYU blew the devil in Vegas.
Yep.
That's exactly right. They always, I'm telling you, say what you want about BYU.
Yeah.
The fan base watches games on TV, and the fan base travels. That town's going to be blue. There is going to be a ton.
I don't know if you guys remember that little BYU Arizona game last year to start the year, early in the year. Yeah, the fan base traveled for that.
You know what we ought to do is we ought to do a watch party in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
We ought to do a watch party in Vegas. That would be amazing. Steve Peterson says, will some of the schools in the Pac-10 want to be in a conference with religious schools? Not specifically meaning BYU.
Notice what he did there? You see what he did there?
What?
He's already calling it the Pac-10.
He is.
See that?
It is. Screw him. Listen, I got to be honest. I as much respect and love as I have for Utah, I cannot stand the Pac-12. I can't. Their arrogance, and again, I'm not a BYU fan, but the way they treated BYU when that whole merger thing went down 10 years ago, and come on. Now who's in position to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it goes around, comes around, you know?
Oh, do you want to, BYU's like, hey, do you want to join our conference? Oh, you do? Okay. Like, I think the arrogance of Pac-12 country in Utah can't be lost.
Yeah.
It can't. Kay Nuren says, yes, a dream come true, Big 12 and Pac-12 and BYU football. That would be amazing. Tanner says, I agree the Big 12 should add San Diego State. There are two problems with this, though. One, their student section, the show is obnoxious as heck. Yes, BYU fans want to talk, but still. Two, Eric C's head will get too big. Yeah, what happens the first time San Diego State beats BYU? Eric C. is going to own the comment section. Tanner Plummer says the hope for the Big 12 now is to surpass the Big 10 and get on a level playing field with the SEC. Well, there you go. That could be. The Big 10 can get away from the UCLA mess by taking Stanford with USC. They could. They could. But UCLA basketball would be a nice little addition to the Big 10. For sure. A.T. Ellion says, Arch wanted $1 billion. Yeah, he did, and he probably got it.
Yeah.
Tanner says, quote, Texas will be much more of a force, end quote. Oh, brother, how many times have we heard that? Sark's off the bottle, though. I mean, he is healthy. He is sober.
He looks a lot better, man.
And I'm telling you, Pete Kwiatkowski is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. And nobody knows who that is. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country.
Pac-12 folks know who he is.
When he was at Boise, when he was at Washington, and now he's in Texas. And he can recruit. And I'm telling you that Texas is a stud. Greg says, LOL, Texas. And you guys will probably be right. Texas rarely lives up to it. Ask Taysom jumping over them.
Yep.
As proof. Kurt Meyer says, BYU has gone from puppy dog to big dog in the Big 12. BYU brand is worldwide market share. I think at times, but is Granny is Granny the mission president in Jamaica watching BYU football? She's not. And my point is, with BYU, the global reach of the BYU brand is not as mythical as we all make it out to be. It is significant. There is a massive fan base, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you don't even need to prop it up because they bring 1 million eyeballs to the TV every single weekend.
It's a gnarly
They
number,
sell
dude.
out stadiums. They sell out bowls. They bring people to Vegas. Like, their ticket allotments are always used. So, Giggity says, will Texas be allowed in the NCAA after the state seeds in the next couple of years? True. To Mexico could be a real thing.
After the state seeds.
Yeah, like leaves the
right,
stuff.
Right.
Kay Nuren says BYU football is getting a lot of Florida players to visit BYU, as they should.
Yep.
As they should.
Put guys in
James
the NFL.
Knight says, screw that. I'm going to stick with to BYU Radio. BYU Radio.
On BYU Radio.
You're home for billionaires like Arch Manning.
Wow.
Hook 'em horns. Let's see. Eric and Raleigh says the Pac-6. Seriously. Otherwise known as the Mountain Least.
Yeah.
Wow. Lubor Drag Rankovic. Who played?
Who the f*** is that guy?
Who played this instrumental at the beginning of the podcast? I actually think your mom did.
Yes.
What do you mean?
It's a song. I can get it for you. It's a song.
Oh, who's the artist? Yeah, I don't remember.
The opener. I'd have to go digging for it.
Yeah. Good to hear you, Juber Brag Rakovic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, should we play the Zach Wilson's mom audio?
Yeah. Hopefully it works. I mean,
Okay. Listen. This audio is stupid.
Yeah.
My guy Zach Wilson is getting that older beef, and
Right.
I'm down with it. I'm proud of you, Zachy Poo. Like, I just think...
The Zach attack.
Yeah, attacking that older beef. Like, you're amazing.
Right.
But Zach Wilson's mom does not help him.
Mm-hmm.
She was out with one of her cougar-looking friends.
Right.
She was out with one of her cougar-looking friends.
Right.
Shopping for jewelry, and her friend like essentially pulls her cleavage out and is like, look at my necklace and my titties.
Wow.
And this is what it sounded like on Instagram.
All right, it is Friday. We've all worked very hard, and so we thought that we needed to come and get some goods.
You thought you needed to
friend,
what?
Suzette.
Hi.
Hey.
She has bijou.
I got sweaty at her dance class too.
Yep, she came
All
and
sweaty.
shook it with me today, and
Sure
I said,
did.
look at all these cute necklaces. I must come. Yes.
I'm sorry, what did you
Just
say?
so you know, no. Okay, the people questioning, no. Shut up.
No.
Shut up. I have good friends. You guys are idiots.
Okay, first of all, Zach Wilson absolutely pounded one of your friends. He did.
No.
He took her to the goalpost. He went and scored 6 on her.
Yes.
And, you know, like, trust me when I say. Trust me when I say.
Dude.
God, I hope it happened.
Oh, my God, dude.
I have no idea if it did or not.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
But that bite, that's Zach Wilson's mom in a boutique with one of her friends. And I'm telling you, the things that are said in that video, I mean, just the sound bites
Yeah.
are.
So we thought that we needed to come and get some goods.
Okay, you wanted to come and get some goods. Is that a euphemism?
Yes.
Is that a euphemism for I'm a Jets fan and let's go deep?
You guys are idiots.
No, I'm not an idiot, ma'am. Excuse you. Like the things she says in here are absolute gold.
I know.
And if you're Zach Wilson, does your mom embarrass you?
No.
Oh, well, contraire, my friend.
Yeah, I think she does, bro.
Do you think he did this? I'm
Yeah.
honest to God.
Yeah.
Do you think he got after it with one of her friends?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he did. 100%.
I listen. He's a quarterback of the New York Jets. Jets.
Right.
I mean, let's not forget that. My
Right.
man. But I was laying in bed last night with Mrs. Monty, not having sex because we're married.
Right.
And so
No.
No. And she heard me playing that video, and she's just like, "Oh God, and she's like, "What is that? What is that?" And I'm like, "That's Zach Wilson's mom."
You gotta fuck one, marry one, kill one.
Please.
Go.
Yeah, and she was like, "Shake, why are you so disgusted by that?"
And first off, I think it did happen. He's not denying it.
Yes.
That drop is never going to get old. So you think it did happen?
Yeah. I think it did happen. No one's denying it.
Okay. He's not denying. That's true.
Ain't denying it.
But that friend was apparently the comment sections on that video were like, "Oh, is that the friend? Is that the one?" Hey.
You guys are idiots.
And so, but
Look at that. It's a cougar.
the things that she says, well, you know, I just wanted to come and look at jewelry. Like, why are you pausing right there,
We
lady?
thought that we needed to come.
Drama.
Why are you pausing?
You know what?
And
Some
get
people
some
like to
goods.
cause drama. And that's the other problem for Zach. If your mom is just bringing the drama, it's going to detract from what you're
We thought
actually
that we
doing.
needed to come.
Like, why are you saying those words, ma'am? That's ridiculous. That is
It's
ridiculous.
incredible. Absolutely, positively incredible.
Oh, my God. So let's see. Tanner Plummer says there's a reason Zach paid his mom to stay off social media last year. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, my God. Compass says, I'm here. What's the news on Donovan? You got to watch from the
Yeah, you got to go back, man.
Go watch from the
Sorry,
beginning.
bud.
James Knight says, you guys should change your opener music theme to Alan Parsons' project Best Intro in the NBA. Well, if you want to pay the licensing fee, we would consider that. Fat Jesus says, Zach Wilson is living out a typical porn plot line. Yes, he is. Hello. Oh, hi, Zach. Is your mom here? No. No, she's not. But you're welcome to come in and wait.
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Do you want to see my jewels?
Do you
Thought
want
that
to?
we needed to come.
Do you need a straw for that drink, lady?
Wow.
I don't think he talks like that.
Have you ever gone deep with a jet? Want to join the Mile High Club?
What is wrong with you? What just happened?
Wow. Okay.